nice to meet you. And thanks for visiting my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to introduce Gyeongbokgung Palace.
It is the palace where the king lived during the Joseon dynasty in Gyeongno-gu, Seoul. It was built in 1395, when Lee Sung-jae founded the Joseon dynasty and moved the capital from Gyeongsang to Seoul. It was the first palace built in the Joseon dynasty. In Gyeongbokgung Palace, there are several buildings such as Gunjeongjin, Seojingjin, Gangnyeongjin, and Jotaejin. These buildings were used by the king to work, sleep, or do business. In particular, Gyeongho-ru is famous as the most beautiful place in Gyeongbokgung Palace. Afterwards, Gyeongbokgung Palace was burned down during the Imjin War. In 1865, King Gojong's father, Heung-sun Dae-wongun, rebuilt it to strengthen the collapsed royal power. I just said that Gyeongbokgung Palace was burned during the Japanese invasion of Korea, which is called Imjin War. So why did the Japanese burn Gyeongbokgung Palace? In fact, Gyeongbokgung Palace was burned by the Korean people. During the Imjin War, the king of Joseon was Sunjo. He had mental problems. When he heard that the Japanese army was attacking Seoul, he abandoned Seoul and the people and fled to the north to Uiju. The people of Joseon, who were very angry at this, rushed to Gyeongbokgung, where the king lived, and burned the palace. King Sunjo transferred the command of the army to his son Gwanghaegon, and tried to flee to the Ming dynasty of China, which was an ally. However, the Ming dynasty was very bewildered to learn that the Joseon king, who had to control the Joseon army, was thrown into another country, and thought that Joseon was joining forces with Japan to attack her. Therefore, it is said that the Ming dynasty refused to allow King Sunjo to come to the Ming dynasty. Japanese General Konishi Yukinaga, who occupied Seoul, was also very upset. He thought that the war would end if only Seoul was captured. But when they arrived, the king was gone and the palace was on fire. In addition, Korean peasants also attacked the Japanese, and they suffered great damage. Since Korean peasants received military training until the age of 60, their fighting ability was quite high, which was one of the factors that led to Japan's defeat to Joseon during the Imjin War. Sunjo basically had the personality of being pathologically jealous of others. He captured and tortured Yi Sun-shin, considered the greatest general in Korean history. Admiral Yi Sun-sin was the commander-in-chief of the navy at the time of the Japanese invasion, and when he won consecutive victories against the Japanese navy, Sunjo falsely accused Yi Sun-sin of planning a rebellion, imprisoned him and tortured him. This is because King Sunjo was jealous of Admiral Yi Sun-sin being loved by the people. As a result, when Yi Sun-sin was stripped of his position, a man named Won-gyun took over as the commander-in-chief of the navy, and he suffered a major defeat by the Japanese navy at the Battle of Chilkil-yang. Only 12 of the 160 Joseon ships survived this battle.
Sunjo was terrified and appointed Admiral Yi Sun-sin again. And the battle that took place was the Battle of Myeongnyang, also known as the movie Roaring Currents. In this battle, he sank 31 out of 133 Japanese ships with 12 ships, and won the battle without losing a single ship. With the return of Admiral Yi Sun-sin as commander-in-chief of the navy, the Japanese army's naval supply was cut off, and in the end, Joseon won the battle with Japan. Looking at Yi Sun-sin, the following lines of Nietzsche come to mind. What does not destroy me, makes me stronger. If you go to Gwanghwamun Square in front of Gyeongbokgung Palace, you can meet Admiral Yi Sun-sin. So if you visit Gyeongbokgung Palace, I recommend that you meet him. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.